Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our goal here, as always, is to cut through the noise, look at the source material, and pull out what really matters, the key insights you need. And today, we're tackling a really potent mix. Sports, politics, and just unprecedented levels of security. We're talking about Donald Trump's arrival at the Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black. We're working from reports that came out basically right after it happened. So it's a very immediate, almost raw picture.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And these sources, they really confirm this wasn't just, a typical VIP visit. Our mission here is to pull out three main things. First, the sheer scale of the security was pretty staggering. Second, that very partisan feel in the crowd really divided. And third, how all that sort of landed right in the middle of the actual golf match.
Right. And the hook, I think, is how this event might almost be a kind of template, for what happens when high-profile politics meets major international sports now. It really pushes the limits on logistics, on security. So let's dig into that, starting with just the mechanics of him getting there. The sources describe it as pretty dramatic. You didn't just see cars pull up. The first sign was Air Force One, flying right over the golf course, apparently around 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, 11 a.m. EDT, which is about 4 p.m. BST for listeners in Europe.
And then it lands nearby, but there's this, 45-minute wait before he actually shows up on the course.
Yeah.
That gap.
Yeah.
That seems significant.
Oh, absolutely. That 45 minutes, that's your security window, right? Moving someone like him from the plane through whatever setup they had onto a packed golf course, it's complex. And the sources, they specifically say security was substantially increased. But the key thing, I think, is who was involved.
Okay, so beyond the usual security detail.
Way beyond. We're talking a big multi-agency thing. You've got the Secret Service, naturally, for a former president. But also, get this, the CIA and the FBI.
Wow. CIA at a golf tournament.
Exactly. I mean, when you bring the CIA into a domestic protection scenario at a public event like this, it suggests the threat assessment is looking at it differently. Maybe foreign policy angles, maybe high-level domestic threats. You're essentially treating Bethpage Black like an international hotspot for that moment.
And you could physically see some of that heightened security.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah.
The reports mention him standing near the first tee grandstand, but behind what looked like some kind of special protective plastic glass, not just a velvet rope, a solid barrier.
Right, a real physical shield.
And this fits a pattern, doesn't it? We saw something similar just recently. Remember the U.S. Open and tennis final?
Oh, yeah, it was delayed, right.
By 30 minutes. And that delay was pinned directly on the extra security needed for a presidential visit. So it shows these high-profile appearances aren't just additions anymore. They force a complete rethink of the event's security, pulling in agencies you normally associate with national security threats.
That's a really fundamental shift. Okay, so you have this intense security bubble. Let's talk about what was happening outside that bubble, the crowd itself. The sources call the atmosphere partisan. Explicitly.
Yeah, and that's crucial. Ryder Cup crowds are always loud, always patriotic, usually very pro-USA. But this was different. This was politically divided. You had groups, very vocal ones, chanting his name, yelling USA specifically for him. But then just as loudly, you had a lot of other people booing him.
So not just general noise, but competing sounds.
Yeah.
Cheers versus boos.
Precisely. A direct audible clash happening right there on the first tee. It completely changes the vibe of the whole thing. Less about the golf, more about the political division.
It sounds like the event itself leaned into the moment.
Oh, completely. He was formally introduced over the PA system. Huge moment, very theatrical. It amplified the political angle. And then you saw the usual optics, right? Pumping his fist to the crowd, the salute during the national anthem while the jets flew over, the whole spectacle. It's impossible to really separate the sport from the political performance there.
Amidst all that, though, the Secret Service, the jets, there was one sort of human detail mentioned. He brought his granddaughter.
Kai. Yeah. And that's interesting because she actually adds a genuine golf connection back into it.
Oh, right. She plays, doesn't she?
She does. Apparently a very keen amateur golfer, and she's set to play for the University of Miami starting in 2026. So it kind of grounds the visit slightly, connects it back to the sport itself, even if the main event was clearly the political presence.
So once he was there, behind the glass initially, he then interacted directly with the team.
Yeah, he moved from that secure spot over to the tee box. The reports say he chatted animatedly with Bryson DeChambeau, and then he gave the U.S. captain Keegan Bradley a hug. Those were the key photo moments right there.
Okay, let's pick up on that DeChambeau interaction. Because there's history there, isn't there? It's not just a random meeting.
No, not at all. They've definitely played golf together before, and DeChambeau's been pretty open about supporting him politically, even endorsed his campaign last time around, so It's a known relationship, a close one, seemingly.
Which adds context to what DeChambeau said before the Ryder Cup started.
Exactly. DeChambeau had actually said publicly he was hoping Trump's presence would do more than just be a visit. He hoped it would actively inspire the U.S. team, fire them up for victory in this 45th Ryder Cup.
So it shifts from just being there to being seen as a potential, strategic asset for team morale.
Right. A potential X factor.
And let's be honest, based on the score at that moment, the U.S. team could have probably used some inspiration. We need to remember the context here. When he arrived, after the morning foursomes...
Europe was already leading 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 down after the first session. That's not a great start for the home team.
No, especially in foursomes. That alternate shot format can be brutal. Trailing 3-1 puts you behind the 8-ball straight away. So yeah, maybe they were hoping for a bit of that inspiration DeChambeau talked about.
Which apparently led to a bit of crowd whip. Given the score, there's a great line reported from a fan.
Oh yeah. What was that?
Someone apparently yelled out that Trump should have brought his clubs, suggesting he might need to sub in to help turn things around.
That's pretty good. Classic Ryder Cup banter.
And Trump's response, apparently as he was getting off Air Force One earlier, was also noted.
What did he say?
Something like, "I think we'll be okay. All great golfers." That was the quote reported. Very confident, very on brand, sort of dismissing the early deficit.
Right. Projecting confidence, even when the scoreboard looked a bit rough for the U.S. side.
And we should also quickly mention the stakes for Europe, too. They were the defending champs, remember? They won in Rome in 2023.
And trying to do something really tough win on away soil, which hadn't been done by Europe since way back at Medina in 2012. So huge pressure on them, too.
So you have that historical pressure on Europe, the U.S. team trying to bounce back, and then this massive political and security event landing right in the middle of it all.
It really was a unique convergence. High-stakes sport, high-stakes politics, all documented almost in real time by these sources.
So bringing it all together then, that collision point, that seems to be the core takeaway. The FBI, CIA, Secret Service presence, the divided crowd.
I think so. If you synthesize all the pieces we've pulled out, that 45-minute security delay, the fact that national security agencies like the CIA and FBI were involved domestically at a sports event, that physical barrier he stood behind, it all points to one main conclusion. The level of security now considered necessary for these kinds of high-profile political appearances at major international events has fundamentally changed things. It's unprecedented. It transforms the spectator experience. The venue isn't just a sports ground anymore. It's temporarily a high-security zone needing, national security levels of planning and protection.
That's the big structural shift, yeah. So, okay, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. Given everything we've discussed, the sheer intensity of the security, the very visible mixed reaction from the crowd creating that partisan feel, what's the long-term Trump effect going to be on these big international sports events like the Ryder Cup? Are we now in an era where this kind of celebrity political attendance, with all its baggage, is inevitably going to overshadow the actual sport? Something to think about. We'll leave it there for this deep dive.